Hello everyone and welcome back to the Skyrim audio adventure. I'd like to thank everyone for their kind words regarding the passing of my grandfather. And I'd also like to thank my family, particularly my wife, for seeing me through some of the rougher patches. Nothing much has changed, still chugging right along, so without further ado, let's get right into Chapter 11 of Book 2 of the Skyrim audio adventure. Picking up the pieces.
Hello, little mouse. It's good to see you again.
I know you.
As you should. We've met before.
Have we? Where am I? What's happening?
You are many places, doing many things.
I remember pain.
There is more pain ahead.
I remember torment.
Yes, and you will know it still.
I remember darkness.
Do you see darkness now?
No. I see no light either. This place does not need light nor shadow to define its edges.
Very good.
Sorry, I'm still not sure I understand.
And in that, you understand more than most.
It doesn't feel like it.
It never does. As I said, you are many places. You are in the hands of a friend, in the heart of a wolf, in the clutches of a lord, in the mind of a widow, and in the eye of me.
Of you?
Yes. That was quite the daring feat back there. I commend you.
Thanks. I'm sorry. What feat?
I can see this is all a bit much.
To put it lightly, yes.
You should rest while you can. Your will must be strong if you hope to wake up. His will has crushed many mightier than you.
Who are you talking about?
You know his name, as you know mine.
No.
Be still. Perhaps he'll get bored.
Wait! Wait! I can't feel. Wait! The hunter's world was small, and that's how he liked it. Light like golden tree sap dripped slow through the branches above. A sparrow's feathers flared like the basking of a vibrant flower as it fluttered in to land on a branch. Were that he a sparrow, freeze the breeze. Were that he a mite nestled neatly in the fibers of those wings, along for the ride, hurtling through the endless sky. Were that his world small as this leaf. He reached out and brushed his fingers along its delicate margin. There was grass in his ear, because he was laying in the dirt of this wide garden, the garden of Kinnereth. There were murmurs, but so far no one had come to disturb him. The sun was heavy, he was light, an odd feeling, like an oak leaf sunk by the pressing cascade. He lay, sweat dampening his corners, but peace ringing from his bones. A lacefly larva wandered along a nearby stem. It was an odd little thing, shaped like a beetle in the front and a maggot in the back, wearing an ominous coat of black with red or orange stripes. When he was young, he used to hate these things, always thought they'd crawl in his ear and eat his brain. Honestly, it wasn't a pleasant thought even now. Perhaps the only reason it didn't bother him so much now was that he knew its name, and that those wicked little things would grow into a flimsy little fly and get shot out of the air by an archerfish. To have a name is a great kindness, to oneself and to the world. It let those around you feel familiar and safe, and invited you to know yourself. It gave you a core around which to construct yourself. It gave you a beacon to return to when you lose yourself in the deep sea of time. It let you build a web, a reputation to rest on like a hammock, to make difficult introductions for you. What would it be to walk through the world as a void, as an empty space? He didn't need to wonder. It had been an odd day, so much like a dream. Air was thick and sunlight was gold and heavy. He moved through the town as though he were swimming through honey. The feeling had ebbed with the rising sun, and now it was only a whisper in his nerves, leaving in its place a spectacular clarity. Blue fluttered above, a familiar blue, and a familiar flutter. The hunter sat up sharply, looking about. In doing so, he startled a mother and her child. The mother wore a fine padded wool overcoat, and her child a long green shirt. It was a rich color, green, something that always seemed odd to him. Clad him in white wool and sent him rolling down a hill, he might yield similar results. Ayla's cloak was green. The child's eyes were wide with fear. He blinked as the immediate situation struck him. He was laying like some vagrant in a public garden, with a face that had made a priestess faint earlier. He tried to smile to make his face kind and alleviate the tension. Alas, the way his scarred flesh smacked and popped as he called the muscles to asymmetric action told him it was a lost cause. No reticence, nor kindness, nor warmth could shine through this cracked window. The young boy burst into tears. The hunter's failed grin slid from his face as the mother gathered her child in her arms and shot him a look that hit like a thrown stone. He looked down as she hurried her son away. Shame, sour like poison in his mouth. Suddenly, alarm lit up his nerves. His severed finger was warning him again, only this was different. It wasn't a pain, and it wasn't in the hand. Rather, it ran a deeper furrow, a dull fire in his veins. By Kinnereth, it was almost a sound. It was almost a voice calling from his bones. He stood and cast his gaze about, sunlight brushing over his skin like a velvet sheet. The garden was wide, wide as a mountain meadow, and like a mountain meadow, it was bound by shadows. The tall pines and cedar replaced by the shapely houses of the Wind District, but all the same, it was edged by dark alleys full of shifting mystery. There were others around, families and lone revelers, shading under the gilder gleam and surreptitiously filching fruit from the lone apple tree in the corner. Were any of these patrons a threat? Where was this arcane tremor coming from?
"Excuse me,"
came a bright voice, and the hunter turned to see a woman, short blonde hair over an angular face. She wore a light cuirass of scaled leather, over which hung the wheat-gold sash of the Whiterun Guard.
"I'm going to have to ask you to leave the garden."
The hunter blinked, keeping his eyes low. "Why?" he croaked. It was an instinctual question. He'd had enough run-ins with the guards to know how this conversation went.
"For disrupting the peace of the garden."
"Garden seems pretty peaceful to me," he offered lamely.
"Is that right? So, upsetting thanes and scaring families is normal for you."
"What do I know about thanes?" She raised an eyebrow.
"Nothing by the looks of you." But that's besides the point.
Is it?
It is. Because now you need to leave because I said so.
Do I?
You do. Unless a stay in the Dragon's Reach dungeon sounds appealing. So come on, enough games. Move it, Drifter.
Wouldn't that be citizen to you? Whap! The hunter's vision jolted as a hand crashed across the left side of his face. His muscles tensed, but he held still, breathing around the surprise, the hurt, and the urge to retaliate.
Sorry, my hand slipped.
The guard said casually.
Why don't we try that again?
She rested a hand on the hilt of her sword.
First off, look me in the eye so I know you can hear me.
The hunter's eye twitched. This was why he'd spent 10 years avoiding cities. Moments like this, people like her.
Come on, eyes up. If I had a face like that, I wouldn't want to show it either.
Where was his wit? Where was his pride? Why couldn't he say anything? That much was obvious. If he opened his mouth, he'd spit in her face. She clicked her tongue impatiently.
If you're too shy, then just start walking.
He was about to break. He could feel it. Hate. Stone, cold hate. It settled in his gut like an iron ball. What if he did look at her? Would his gaze knock the sense from her head, like it did the priestess? Divines, he wanted to know. Would she try to slap him again? Would she draw her sword?
Move, rat!
She barked. That was it. He glared at her, willing whatever heat had caused the others to falter to pour from his gaze. She had a small mole at the corner of her set jaw. Her short hair lifted at the tips, opening it to the whim of the breeze. Her hazel eyes were steady, unbothered. His stare had done nothing. He felt a small pressure descend on his foot. She was about to hit him again. It's an old trick he learned ages ago. Step on their foot, so they can't pull away from the next strike. "Stranger!" came the familiar call, and suddenly Bracknell was there, hand on his collar, pulling him away from the guard.
Sure as bones, I've been looking everywhere for you.
Excuse me?
Bracknell grimaced at the guard's call, and turned slowly back to her.
Yes, honourable guardsman?
We were in the middle of something.
Aye, sorry about that. But we ourselves are in the middle of something, and I need to get this one back to your Vasker as soon as I can. Does that work for you?
Your Vasker?
The guard sidled up to them easily.
You don't look like companions.
Looks can be deceiving.
Bracknell grinned a charming grin.
I assure you, Kodlak Whitemane himself would vouch for us, as would the Iron-Blooded Brothers and the Wolf of Whiterun.
Is that right?
The guard peered at the hunter, trying to get under his downcast eyes.
You know Aella?
He didn't speak at first, till Bracknell elbowed him. Yes, she nearly knocked my head off once.
What did you do to earn that?
Again, Bracknell edged between them.
Something foolish, as I recall. You know how training can get. Emotions and egos running high.
What color are her eyes?
Pardon?
I imagine anyone who trained with her would have gotten close enough to notice that.
Ah, well, blue.
Bracknell began, but the guard held up a hand.
Not you.
She pointed to the hunter.
You.
The hunter almost looked at her again. He wanted so badly to prove he was equal to whatever bizarre challenge this was. However, since she'd slapped him, his tongue felt frozen. This was maddening. His heart pounding, his world shrinking, all while he fought to expand it, but not for her, not to her. He needed to be beyond her. Something wasn't right.
Stranger?
Questioned Bracknell, but the hunter quickly answered, not verbally. Rather, without looking at the guardswoman, he lifted his hand and pointed directly to Bracknell's steel-blue irises. The elder hunter in turn looked at the guard, and after a moment's bewilderment, comprehension dawned.
Ah.
She managed after a moment's sheepish silence.
You must forgive his slowness. We just got back from Valtheim Towers, you see.
Valtheim Towers?
The guard breathed.
So he's been...
We're working on it.
As are we.
She rifled through her satchel for a piece of paper.
The god is taking this threat very seriously. In fact...
The hunter's eyes were already drifting away from them, scanning the garden and the houses and shops surrounding it. There was a baker hawking his breads and pastries from his storefront. He had a wide face and a scar across his neck, barely hidden by a scarf. An odd scar for a baker. Odder still was that the hunter could see that from where he stood. An alley waited next to the bake shop. Darkness waited in that alley. The shadows there drew him. Come hither, they seemed to say. I want you. There was something there, just beyond the range of his sight. Just a bit closer and he might. I want you, I want you, I want you.
Stranger, where are you off to now? See, this is what I'm talking about. Stranger!
He was quickly corralled, and the shade flitting through his senses faded. Bracknell continued.
See, he just wanders off sometimes.
Sorry, the hunter muttered. The guard appraised the two of them a long moment, then glanced at the sky, and back to the garden.
All right,
she said finally.
Just keep an eye on him. We don't need any transients in the Wind District.
The elder hunter nodded.
Certainly not. If I see any, I'll be sure to let you know.
With that, he jerked the hunter away, and the guard was soon far in the rear. On the outskirts of the Garden of Kinnereth, there sat a statue. A noble and enigmatic figure, donning a winged helm, standing above a hissing serpent as he plunged his blade into it. His eyes were downcast, yet carried in them a pensive calm that made it seem as though he were looking through his foe, beyond, into the depths of time, appraising the foundations of creation, of Mundus. This was the man-god, the ninth and final divine, patron of all mortal men, and central figure of both the great war with the elves and this, the Skyrim civil war. Talos. All who walked in Skyrim knew of Talos, of his shrines and statues scattered across the land. His many faces matched his many names. Talos of Atmora, Tiber Septim I, Hjalti Earlybeard, General Talos Stormcrown, the Red King, the Warrior King, Ysmir, and finally, the god, Talos. This last name and the shape it invoked was the rub of all rubs as the hunter saw it, for the idea that any mortal bound to Nirn, let alone a member of the short-lived races of man, could shuffle off his wretched bones and climb the ladder of divinity was beyond absurd to the high elves of the Somerset Isles. It was in the name of this grievance that they launched their offensive on the dregs of Tiber Septim's mighty empire. Now, having stopped just short of wiping every viceroy and vizier, every prince and minister off the face of Tamriel, they prowled through the provinces, taking any whisper of Talos the Divine as ample grounds for slaughter. Their effort, it seemed, had yet to reach Whiterun, for here sat Talos, as central to the city as the Jarl's castle, and at the base of the statue stood a man in priest's robes, who adored Talos with a fire that the most hopeless of lovers could only aspire to.
Talos the mighty, Talos the unerring, Talos the unassailable, to you we give praise. We are but maggots, writhing in the filth of our own corruption, while you have ascended from the dung of mortality, and now walk among the stars. But you were once man, aye, and as man you said, "Let me show you the power of Talos Stormcrowned, born of the north, where my breath is long winter. I breathe now in royalty and reshape this land which is mine. I do this for you, red legions, for I love you. I love. Even as a man, great Talos cherished us, for he saw in us
in each of us, the future of Skyrim, the future of Tamriel, and there it is, friends, the ugly truth. There were a few benches scattered around where patrons sat giving gentle heed to the priest, but most garden-goers steered well clear of his caterwauling. We are children of man, he continued. Talos is the true god of man, ascended from flesh to rule the realm of spirit. The very idea is inconceivable to our elven overlords. Sharing the heavens with us? With man? Ha! They can barely tolerate our presence here on earth. Today they take away your faith. What tomorrow? What then? Do the elves take your homes? Your businesses? Your children? Your very lives? The man was preaching with such fervor that even his breath seemed to fill the space, dissuading interruption. It seemed an odd space for Bracknell to bring them, especially if he wished to speak, but speak he did.
Sure, you're upright. So it seems,
the hunter sighed.
You've got bugs on you.
As long as they're on me and not in me, I'm not bothered.
Spoken like a true woodsman.
We are a hardy lot. Beetles beware.
How do you feel?
I feel brittle.
Brittle?
Like I can't do one goddamn thing of any consequence without getting blown up or maimed or... What happened to me?
You were infected with sanguinare vampiris.
What is that, Nebanese?
Yes, actually. It means you were turning into a vampire.
Ah. The hunter licked his lips, taking the news like a barrel accepts a horse. Well, shit. I suppose that explains the dreams.
You had dreams?
Many dreams. Many places, none of them good. I heard a voice. Maybe heard isn't the right word.
You were drifting into the realm of Molag Bal. His voice is torment to all who know it.
The elder hunter clapped him on the back.
But here you are. We had to pump you full of enough infusions to stone a moose, but here you are.
I'm in your debt.
Bollocks, who's counting at this point?
Yeah. The hunter chuckled. Then his face soured. Brack, is there something strange with my eyes?
No, why?
I feel... I'm not sure. Not that I'm not grateful, but I feel... I don't... The hunter wobbled his head as he reached for the right words. Something's different. Bracknell blinked.
Ah, well, look here a moment.
The hunter did so, and stared evenly as Bracknell's silver blues inspected him.
I see nothing out of the ordinary,
the Nord said.
If anything, the most bizarre part of this is the fact that you're above the ground and not under it.
The clouds lifted from the hunter for just a moment as he let out a hearty laugh. All right, Brack. Yes, I am a medical miracle, and you are the miracle worker. To Dragon's Reach with you, court physician, no questions asked. If they ask for your qualifications, just point to me. I'll stand down here and wave. The mirth faded as quickly as it came. His eyes returned to his hands. Something is different. Bracknell leaned back, stretching his legs with a sigh.
Speaking of Dragon's Reach, there's someone I'd like you to meet.
Farengar Secret Fire? The Nord was taken aback.
No, his assistant. How do you know that name?
I have ears, don't I? Anyway, I've got to head up to Skyforge.
What do you need at Skyforge?
Eorland, you remember when we got blown up in the forest?
No.
Oh. But...
Yes, I was told what happened. So, you lost your false finger?
Yep. I figured he could make me another, or something nearing it.
Well, you're not going to find him up at Skyforge. He hasn't been there for some time, actually.
Why not?
He's been with his wife.
Oh, divines forbid.
Short it. She's in mourning. Don't you know there's a war on?
The hunter sheepishly wiped a finger across his scarred brow. You don't mean...
The Greymanes had 3 children. Their daughter Olfina, and the sons, Thorold and Avelstein. The latter 2 joined the Stormcloak Rebellion about a year back.
Did that come with shame?
Pride. The Greymanes support the Stormcloaks. But war is war. so there was always worry. The family has heard nothing, which is normal. But now the Battleborns have been prancing around, crowing that the lads have got their just deserts.
And the mother believes them?
I suppose so. She's normally out at the market this time of day, but now she's retreated to the family house. No one's seen her.
And where is this house?
Stranger. Even for you, that's a shade tactless. I'm full of tact. You're full of something. No, leave him alone.
As they bickered, the priest was wrapping up his sermon.
And what does the Empire do? Nothing! Nay, worse than nothing! The Imperial machine enforces the will of the Thalmor against its own people! So rise up! Rise up, children of the Empire! Rise up, Stormcloaks! Embrace the word of mighty Talos, he who is both man and divine! For we are the children of man, and we shall inherit both the heavens and the earth, and we, not the elves and their toadies, will rule Skyrim forever! Terrible and powerful Talos, we, your unworthy servants, give praise, for only through your grace and benevolence may we truly reach enlightenment. And deserve our praise you do, for we are one! Ere you ascended, and the 8 became 9, you walked among us, great Talos, not as God, but as man! Trust in me, Whiterun! Trust in the words of Heimskr, for I am the chosen of Talos!
Woo! The hunter cheered, offering brief but enthusiastic applause that stood in stark contrast to the quiet of the garden. Bracknell was quick to stop his hands.
What are you doing?
It was a good speech.
Sure, but now he's going to...
Yes! Yes, my brothers!
The priest called, shuffling in their direction.
Oh, blast, now you've done it,
the Nord whispered. The hunter only grinned. Say, Brack, you ever heard of a woodsman's goodbye?
No, what in the blazes is a...
The Nord turned back to find himself alone. The hunter, in that briefest of moments, had disappeared. He chewed on his words a moment. I won't forget this, you pishant.
Bracknell, good to see you, my old friend,
called the priest. The elder hunter took a moment to place a smile on his face and turned in greeting.
Heimskr, it's been too long.
Rarely does a hovel in the Lower Plains district outlive its maker. They pop up like spring daisies, keep a family dry for a few years before being recycled into the next endeavor, the next frontier. As one rose to the high plains, the houses became more sturdy and stationary, a state that belied a veiled fear. Upkeep was a must, lest it be known how easily those shingles and boards could be blown away. Homes in the Wind District, on the other hand, breathed like sleeping bears as they passed from one generation to the next. Stone walls rose and fell, gentle with the years, bases of hewn granite blending into smooth cobbles. New levels climbed to the sky, then stunted as they met the elements. Gardens washed over stone before receding like tides come the turning of the seasons. It wasn't hard to find the Greymane's house. First, look for the 2 houses bearing more scars, more dimming of the years than any others. Then, knock on the door that didn't have a massive red imperial banner hanging over it. It was a long wait on that front step. Long enough for the hairs on the back of his neck to stand up. Someone was watching him. A ragamuffin rapping on the door of one of the 2 oldest families in the city. Of course the neighbors and passers-by would be leering, but no. There was something else. Something hungry was haunting his steps. His eyes grew vacant as his ears stopped listening for movement inside the house and started sifting through his surroundings. How would the ambush come? Would it be a rush of footsteps? or the distant knocking of an arrow. A fluttering of feathers, he whirled around, crows on the wing, a hulking abomination in a deep, dark wood, a silhouette high against the bright day. His breath caught and his hands flinched to his weapons. They stilled as his eyes adjusted. At a guard post some 100 yards away, on the district wall, someone had left a cloak draped over an empty chair. Feeling a bit sheepish, his eyes wandered over the surrounding roofs and shadows before meeting those of a large, shaggy cow to his right. The bovine beast was penned in a pen that wasn't nearly enough penned by the hunter's hunch, but here it was blinking at him like it had just opened the door. "I hope you know, if anything happens, I'm hiding behind you," the hunter muttered as he picked up his scanning of the window frames and the occasional passing face. "No offense." As if in response, the cow gave a surly grunt. Quite a feat for a cow. The hunter nodded. "Yeah, I suppose you're right." He turned and knocked on the door again. That time there was a definite stir within. Footsteps came to the door and stopped, but the activity inside continued. Had there been a porthole, the hunter would surely be looking at a blurry face squinting at him, but there was only the pause and the wait. Once the distant shuffle had died down, the door creaked open to reveal half of Eorland Greymane.
"No visitors, please,"
he said, and the door began to close. Hi, it's stranger," the hunter piped up, but the door was still closing.
"I have no use for strangers."
"You made me a new finger?" The door froze, held, and opened again.
"Ah, you,"
said the stone-faced man.
"You look different."
"I get that a lot." His eyes were a fierce blue, the sky after rain. They took him in once more.
"I take it you lost it."
Perhaps lost isn't the right word.
"So you have it?"
"Well, no, I just mean..."
"So you lost it."
The hunter shrugged in silent concession. "Yeah. I was wondering if you could make another."
"How did it do?"
"How do what?"
"The finger, how did it perform?"
"Oh, well," the hunter stammered. "I could actually hold a sword. It started coming loose during rock climbing. Or any activity that went on too long. It rubbed my hand raw, actually. But still, it helped with almost everything. Doorknobs to bows. Couldn't get the feel on the draw hand, so a lefty I remain. Still, it performed admirably till it was destroyed."
"How was it destroyed?"
"Same way the rest of me was." The master of the Skyforge was inscrutable, but the hunter noted the subtle movement of his eyes as they took in his burned face and neck. After a long moment, he stepped back and the door swung open fully.
"Come inside."
Stepping in, the hunter was enveloped by an acute warmth. Despite their pride and their cold tolerance, even a Nord would be a fool to invite the chill of Skyrim into his home. There was a short hall into a wide living room that blended seamlessly into the many stations beyond. Rather than letting solid walls divide the space, the kitchen, the dining room, and the lounge simply occupied their own corners. As he scanned, his eyes drifted over walls covered in loaded shelves, splayed pelts, and proud tapestries. The only things interrupting the room were the assorted furniture and the strong support beams that bore the upper floors. It was from one of these pillars that a small Nord woman seemed to materialize, startling him with her abrupt presence.
"And who is this, dear?"
she asked.
"Whelp from your Vasker."
Eorland grunted.
"The one with the finger."
The woman's green eyes were tinged with the red of sorrow, but her smile was warm nonetheless.
"Oh, welcome, dear. I've heard so much about you."
The hunter blinked. "You have?"
"In a way, I hadn't seen him so inspired in years when you first came through. Could hardly get him to sleep for a week."
"I sleep,"
came Eorland's monotone response. The hunter supposed that was about as bashful as the smith ever got. The couple stepped to the right. The hunter followed, noting the marked increase of weapons and armor adorning the walls. "I don't think we've met." The hunter offered his hand.
"Fralia Greymane, dear,"
the wife said, taking it. "Strange, he began, but faltered as the woman held on to his hand, turning it over in hers. The hunter hadn't meant to offer his mangled hand. It was a habit he was trying to get out of, in fact, though he rarely got the chance.
Quite the puzzle you've got here,
she said. Yeah, he offered sheepishly.
How's your sword arm?
Present. The matron of the Greymanes laughed at that before continuing her inspection of his missing digit.
I can see what's had Eorland so vexed. Were it me, I would have gone for a more decorative piece, maybe a gold inlay with some sapphires.
Are you a smith as well? I've seen you in the market.
Oh, no. All this skill lies with my husband. At most, I just help with the designs.
It's hard to imagine jewels and trinkets coming from the fires of the mighty Skyforge.
Aye,
said Eorland, opening a door.
they come from this one.
The hunter felt the unexpected nip of the day. Rather than opening to some back room, this door opened to a modest courtyard, invisible to any outside the estate. And in this wholly secluded space, there was a forge. It bore none of the majesty and beauty of the Skyforge. It was dirty, lined with scrap, half-shaped metal, odd baubles, and walls of tools, the uses of which he could only guess at. Layman that he was with smithing, he knew what it was to craft, to try, fail, and try again. He understood immediately what he was looking at. The proving ground. Eorland's work didn't end at the Skyforge. It was a constant process of ideas and practice, of refining, recycling, and searching for new skills. Every exploration feeding the same endeavor, the same fire. As he cast his eyes about, he saw sheets of metal covered in acid-etched filigree, the designs repeated over and over with minor changes. They drifted over pommels, pointed, rounded, and oddest of all, hollow. Blades of varying thickness, some seeming more fit for bludgeoning, while others were more like oversized needles. There were books sitting open on tables. He saw diagrams, instructions, and text in languages he couldn't decipher. He recalled Bracknell's approach to hunting, the constancy of it, how it was more a state of being than a skill. He wondered if that monomaniacal pedanticism was something he'd learned from knowing Eorland. Of one thing he was sure. The magic of Skyforge steel had little to do with the forge itself.
Here you are.
Eorland said, pulling a shapeless, clinking jumble from a drawer.
I've improved the design a little. Hold out your hand.
Next thing, the half-breed was sat in a chair, arm outstretched, as Eorland carefully fitted him with the replacement digit. I was hoping you'd kept the design and notes, but I had no idea you'd already made another.
What is a smith if not thorough?
Eorland said matter-of-factly. Fralia leaned in.
He made 12.
The hunter shook his head with an astonished grin. That makes me feel better. I was worried I'd be intruding. I heard there was some unfortunate news.
Rumors.
Said Eorland, pausing in his work.
Rumors from the mouths of craven fools.
Fralia cleared her throat.
What he meant was we appreciate the consideration, but in truth we have nothing so solid as news. We are merely disappointed in the shameless badgering we've faced from the lowlifes down the street.
The battle barns? The hunter asked. At his words, the strap was cinched alarmingly tight. He winced, and Eorland grunted an apology before loosening it. Fralia's smile was strained.
That name doesn't enter this house.
I understand. Eorland tilted his head as he looked over the hand.
That's all. How does it feel?
Solid, said the hunter.
Good. I improved the fit and joint placement. The original was based off your actual finger. This one bends in spots that makes it easier to control with your middle finger. Shouldn't chafe as much, and your grip will be stronger. I added some light padding to the interior so it gives like your palm. Still, if you plan on rock climbing, I'd just take it off, and there's still no way to control it independently unless you're a telekinetic.
The hunter shook his head, dumb grin pulling at his marred features. Thank you. How can I repay you?
You're not the only one with battle wounds. If you're still alive in a week, stop by, tell me how to improve it.
Why wouldn't I still be... The hunter began before he remembered the patterns of his life. Actually, sure, fair enough.
Your commission isn't finished yet, but you're welcome to have a look.
My what?
Ayla made a commission in your name. It's already been paid for.
The smith walked over behind the cold forge and retrieved a slip of paper. Unfolding it, he read.
For the moron with the missing finger, 200 gold, payment up front, sword, long enough to do damage, short enough to swing in tight spaces, safe enough for an idiot, light enough for a whelp. Ayla the Huntress.
I've never heard a more generous description, said the hunter.
Generous is the right word. Have a look.
Suddenly there was a bladeless handle before him, a handle unlike any he'd ever seen. The hunter took it and turned it over. He looked into the hole where the blade would eventually sit. The grip was of wound leather, weather-treated and strong, yet not beyond his skill to mend, should it ever wear. The typical crossguard was instead in an S shape, one side bending right down to the pommel, enclosing the knuckles. But the pommel itself was heavy and shaped into a four-sided punch.
It's based on the work of a smith from Wayrest in High Rock. Apparently he came up with it after spending some time in Hammerfell. A saber, he calls it. I used it because I thought the finger guard was appropriate given your history. Most Nords wouldn't miss a chance to toughen their knuckles, but in your case this seemed more appropriate. Still working on the blade. It's curved. Not my bailiwick, but I'll figure it out. The curve needs just a little more weight at the end. We'll keep it compact without sacrificing power. The backside will be dull, so you can't cut yourself without trying. Figure there's no reason to roll the dice there, given your grip issues.
The hunter didn't speak for a long moment, truly astonished. Years of being an opportunist, a scrounger who came just short of scoundrel, or so he hoped. Yet here in his hands sat something that was made for him, and no one else. Bespoke and glorious. Thank you, the hunter said, unable to find any other words.
Don't thank me. Damn thing isn't finished. If anything, thank Ayla when you see her.
I will.
Good.
Eorland slapped his knees and stood. He took the sword hilt and returned it to the workbench.
Now, with that done, we'd like the house to ourselves.
The hunter was quick to his feet. Of course, sorry to intrude at this. He faltered, remembering their earlier reactions to his sympathy. Sorry to intrude. And thank you.
You already said that.
Eorland pushed the door to the house open and held it for the hunter and his wife.
Save that breath for the fights to come. I get the feeling you'll be seeing a few. Return in a week's time. I'll have your blade.
Not wanting to say thank you again, the hunter only nodded as he walked to the front door. In the entrance, he turned to Fralia and bowed. Thank you for the hospitality.
The pleasure is ours, dear.
Her old eyes lingered on the gnarled skin at the corner of his lips.
Do be kinder to yourself.
I'll try. The hunter smiled, acutely aware of how the stiff skin pulled oddly when he did so. He turned to leave, but just as his newly complete hand touched the door latch, the boards overhead creaked. Not the mild sigh of an old home settling, but the palpable cry of wood accepting a solid weight. A person's weight. So abrupt was the sound that the hunter paused and glanced up. No follow-up sounds came. He looked back to the Greymanes and was met by Fralia's kind smile. He returned it and went on his way, but not before noting that Eorland had gone stock still. It was an odd end to a productive venture. His finger was back and had conquered its first challenge, the door. He met the cow's bored gaze as he stepped away from the house and offered it a pat on the head before returning to the streets of Whiterun. Several houses down on the opposite side of the street sat the other of the two esteemed mansions, the one bearing imperial colors. He wondered if someone was watching from those high windows, if he might meet hostility at the hands of these Battleborns. To get to Jorvaskr without diving into the dark alleyways, he'd have to either skirt the Garden of Kinnereth or go the long way, ducking back into the Plains District and looping around. Deciding he knew well enough how to run from guards, he walked straight and true to the lush heart of the city. The passerbys grew dense. Most paid him no mind, but one or two seemed to quicken their step to garner distance. One child openly gawked at his burns. Several whispered. He could hear them all so clearly. "Who's that? Is that a bandit? Honestly, the Wind District has gone to the dogs." Their voices rose like a tide, and his vision blurred. He could feel his heart beating in his throat. He turned his face to the Gilder Gleam and let the melancholic beauty of the tree take him away from himself. A flash of white in a sparse crowd, flaxen hair catching the afternoon sun. He turned, the floating mane pulling his gaze like a line pulls a hooked fish. A young woman, probably about his age, had just walked by. Her face was pretty as any Nord he'd seen, while under those proud features lay the quiet grit of someone who didn't expect kindness from the world. A flower bracing for winter here in the last breath of spring. Perhaps it was only because he had just spoken to Fralia, but he knew that if he were to imagine what a daughter of the Greymanes would look like, it would be the woman before him. He stared shamelessly as she passed. Her eye caught his.
"What's the matter?"
She asked.
"Can't stand the sight of a strong Nord woman?"
"No, I was only—" the hunter began but trailed off. The flaxen-headed maiden had walked away, not caring to hear his response. Sighing out his disappointment, he suddenly felt eyes on him. He turned left and saw, glaring at him through a gap in the garden, the same guard as before. The short-haired woman who'd hit him. From this distance, she almost seemed mousy, but her eyes were like hot pokers in his hide. He looked ahead. The steps to Jorrvaskr lay some 200 feet beyond. A race it was. He made for the stone stairway, his steps lengthening, coming just short of a run. At a glance, he knew she was right there with him. Like a protective hound, she kited him all the way down the street. Then, just when he was sure she was about to snatch his collar, he was there. She stood there, hand resting on her hilt, weight on one hip, and cocked an eyebrow at him. The message was clear. She wanted to see him walk inside, to prove that they hadn't been fibbing earlier. Shaking his head, he took the final steps easily, only to be greeted by an even angrier set of eyes at the top.
"So here you are,"
said Bracknell in a calm voice that wouldn't have fooled a deaf man.
"Oh, and look at that. You got your finger back. That's your outstanding tact at work, eh? Oh, and look, there's a guard following you. The tact strikes again. Oh, best of all, did you know Heimskir's wife has gout? Did you know he has a son in the companions? Did you know that those priest robes get to smelling like year-old boot in one day? Do you know what that much standing can do to a man's feet? I do. I didn't need to know any of it. You did that. All this after being bedridden for days."
"Hey, Brack," the hunter sighed. "Are you mad?" The old Nord was about to continue, but stopped a moment to keep his temper.
"Tell you what, since you're well enough in body and mind to be a smartass, you're clearly well enough to train."
"What?" The hunter put his hands on his hips, incredulous.
"Oh, yes," Bracknell nodded. "Today you are learning the Fool's Guard. Only seems appropriate."
"Who's the fool, you or me?"
"Depends on who's using it."
"Is Aethys here?"
"No, he's off with Aella."
The hunter held out his hands. "Then who am I training with?"
"Turn around."
"Well, nuts." In doing so, the hunter was greeted by the towering, black-haired form of Farkus. The Nord bore a poorly suppressed grin as he looked down at the half-breed. The hunter looked back to Bracknell. I'm starting to think you really are mad." After a long afternoon of running drill after drill with the seemingly tireless Farkus, the hunter, Bracknell, and several other companions sat on the porch, welcoming the cool of the evening with a modest meal. The feasts of Jorrvaskr were made meager by the addition of the injured guards. Word was that during the morning the affected guardsmen had started showing improvement, and now the outlook on their recovery was actually promising. In spite of the thin rations, Farkus had managed to secure quite the hefty helping for himself. Perhaps his fatigue only manifested through his subsequent appetite. This was the first time that the hunter had been in the large man's presence since teasing out the secret of the companions from Ayala. It was odd seeing those animalistic traits he was so used to seeing in the huntress reflected so clearly in her shield brother. The food was good, a bit tough on the jaw. Fresh carrots, old bread, dried meat. Some of the others, like Njeda and Torvar, seemed soured by the scant offerings, taking deeply of their mead. He loved it. Felt like home. By the north wind, by the sea and stars, he needed to get out of the city. He needed to go far away, to the whisper of trees, to the depths of the mountains, away from the voices. Companions! The group paused in their quiet meal to see, lit by the light of a brazier, a bald man with pointed beard wearing a thick overcoat. As he raised a hand, feathers sprung from the material.
I'm from the pigeon house. A message came for you.
The hunter now saw that clutched in the man's hand was a very small roll of paper.
Sounds important,
grunted Bracknell, holding out a hand. The courier gave him the paper, and the old Nord squinted at the minuscule writing.
Bollocks, I can't read this. Vilkus!
The black-haired brother stood and took the paper, reading it by the light of the fire. After a long moment, he reached into a pocket and tossed 2 coins to the man. They flashed gold as they flew through the fire's light. The bird-keeper caught the septums with surprise.
I fear there's been,
It's no mistake,
Vilkus said.
Take it with the thanks of Ysgramor.
Thank you. It's an honor.
The man bowed and hurried away. The curious interaction had brought all eating and conversation to a halt. All eyes were on Vilkus.
Well?
Bracknell prodded. The wolfish man cleared his throat.
Lead on vampire location. Muster at Pale Watch. Armed and supplied. Meet you there. Ayala?
The first response was a wooden thud as Bracknell brought his hand down on the table.
Knew you had it in you, girl,
he whispered. Vilkus rubbed his thin beard.
Silden, Grey, Volkwine. Can you stay here and hold the fort?
Sure, came an unfamiliar voice. The iron-blooded warrior nodded.
Right. You heard the huntress. Ready up.
The quiet of supper was replaced immediately by the bustle of warriors preparing for action. The hunter stood, reaching for his gear, back into his mail, wraps, weapons, pack, and pouches, ready to mount up, a feeling that but a week ago he couldn't have imagined. However, when he turned to Bracknell, the old man was sitting squarely in his chair, chewing pensively on some jerky. Brack? He prodded. What are you doing? We gotta go.
They must go. We'd only slow them down.
The hunter put his hands on his hips. What do you mean, we?
Stranger, you were as good as dead just a day ago.
And what a day it's been. Come on, you just put me through training.
That's true, but aren't you tired?
It's Ayala.
I'm tired.
It's Ayala.
You barely survived one encounter with a vampire. What if the second goes worse? What if the affliction is not so easily reversed?
It's Ayala.
Stranger.
The old Nord shifted in his chair.
I spent half the day tracking you down. I've heard some whispers. Talk of an old fellow, muttering to himself and flinching at the shadows.
The hunter felt eyes on them. He turned to see some 7 companions, including the twins, regarding him with interest. Okay, Dust Bucket, he began. Try to stop me. He spun on the rest of the group. All of you, try to stop me. See what happens.
Is that a challenge?
Rumbled Farkus.
Brother,
warned Vilkus, but the taller Nord stepped forward.
I know well the reach of your arm.
The hunter squared him up. And I know yours. And yet here I am. What does that tell you? He glared at them. I'm the one person here who knows what we're looking for. So fine, get in my way, but answer me this. Are you stupid or suicidal? Because there is one among us who has faced these things down thrice and lived. And it's none of you. The porch of Jorvaskr waited with bated breath as the ferret stared down the wolves. Bracknell sighed and nodded.
Well,
he stood to the sound of creaking. Whether it was the chair or his bones was unclear.
That good enough for you lot then?
Farkus's stony face split into a grin.
I like him.
Vilkus stirred.
Farkus,
I like him.
fine.
Said Vilkus, adjusting the strap of his greatsword.
You can come.
The hunter was befuddled. What? He looked to Bracknell.
This was a test. You're not a shield brother. You haven't taken the oath. What do you expect?
Trust is earned in this guild.
Vilkus nodded. Aela trusts me.
Good for you. Some 30-odd to go then.
Bracknell laboriously lifted a pack onto his shoulder and took up a training staff as a walking stick.
If he's going, I'm going.
You can't ride, and a carriage would slow us down.
Night is coming, Vilkus. No one gallops at night. Best stay by the light of my carriage, or you'll lose your way in the mist.
The black-haired man could only roll his eyes as Bracknell squeezed the hunter's arm.
Off we go, lad. To another gallant quest. Your first task is to get me down to the stables without falling.
No problem. The hunter reached out and accepted some of the old man's weight. But are you sure you're up for this? Bracknell gave a wheezing laugh.
It's Aela.
High in the castle, in velvet dark, trust thin as paper, fear cold and stark. Voices whisper soft, dodging ears and wandering waifs. Nightmares shared in bleak alarm between the fretful youth and a gentle face.
Olista.
Nelkir?
The woman looked up from her desk and turned to the door.
Is it too late?
The boy asked, timidly ducking into the room.
Not at all. In fact, I just finished my work for the day, so your timing is rather perfect, actually.
Oh, good.
Lady Olista smoothed out her dress, a rich, svelte green, as was her custom.
What can I do for you?
Nelkir kicked his feet sheepishly.
Nothing much. I just came to see you.
The lady quirked an eyebrow.
Oh, I'm flattered, but...
But...
She turned to face him fully.
But Nelkir, you're a smart boy. Thoughtless are none of your deeds that I've seen. What's wrong?
The lad was a stick, a twig so thin and stiff as to be broken by a breeze.
Nothing has to be wrong. I mean, it doesn't need to be.
Here, have a seat.
The lady gestured.
Thank you.
The boy sat.
In your own time.
The lady meant it, for it was nearly a minute before the boy began with a deep sigh.
What if she's right?
What if who's right?
The lady in my dreams.
About your mother?
Yes. I just can't get it out of my head.
Your mother loved you, Nelkir. I'm sure of it.
As am I. I knew her love well. It's what helps me sleep most nights.
Then what's to question?
What if she wasn't really my mother?
The question hung eerily, and both speakers took a moment to glance around for eavesdroppers. Then they continued, a mutual hush having found their voices.
Ah, well, let's consider the facts. You look like your brother's brother.
My brother and I look like our father.
No shame in that. What about your sister?
My father's eyes are blue, so are Frotar's and Dagny's. Mine are the color of moss.
What about your mother?
He had grey eyes. I remember because they always felt like a blanket of overcast clouds.
That's beautiful, Nelkir.
The boy looked down, lost a moment in the memory.
Yes, but that's not the point.
I know.
Olista leaned back and brushed some hair away from her eyes. Nelkir turned in his seat, draping his arms over the back.
What if she's right?
She sighed.
Well, I just want to make sure you know that it wouldn't change a thing.
I know,
he said evenly.
Your mother loved you more than light, more than life. I've been around the castle. I've spoken to those who knew her. You were and are loved.
And yet I am plagued.
Olista reached out and took the boy's hand. It was a slow move, leaving every moment as an invitation for the boy to pull away. He did not.
If you wanted to know for certain, how would we even test this? Could your real mother, I only say that hypothetically, could she be alive somewhere?
Not if what the voice says is true.
What does she say?
The boy's moss eyes fixed her with a cold stare.
She says my father sunk her body into moats around the castle.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Skyrim audio adventure. The disembodied voice from the beginning was played by Hayden Beardoll. Triss the Guard was once again played by Kelsey Painter. Eorland Greymane was played by Andrew Winston. Fralia Greymane was played by Nancy O'Fallon, her third role in the production. Olfina Greymane was played very briefly by Katabelle Ansari, who played the role of Winry in the last chapter. Both Farkus and Vilkus were played by Jorden Bates, who I think also has had 3 roles in the production now. Lady Olista was played by Carolina Jerez-Longres, and Nelkir was played by DisciliVA. Well, it's been a pretty crazy start to 2026. I hope everyone out there is staying safe and staying mentally well, in spite of all the things that make that difficult these days. And I hope that with this little series that I continue on, I'm helping in some small way. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay true to yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. And once again, thanks for listening.